Hey, it's Dan, and welcome to Unified Gaming. So in this one, we're going to play Trash or Grab, the game where we check the Golden Vendor and the Infinite Archive and so on to see are there items worth grabbing or are they absolute trash. As with the Golden Vendor, it's worth noting that she appears every weekend with a rotating stock, and this is recorded on the 20th of July. So if you are watching this in the future, things will be different. As for where do you find her, if you're playing on DC, she's in the Northern High Rock Gate. If you're playing on the AD, she's down in the Western Elsewhere Gate. And if you're playing on EP, she's in the Southern Morrowind Gate. As I said, it is worth stressing that she does appear only on the weekend and the stocks do change. So if you are watching this in the future, it will be different. So with that said, I do cover this every week, so likes, comments are really appreciated, but do subscribe so you stay up to date with the series. And as always, a massive thank you to all of the YouTube and Patreon members who help support the channel. They get exclusive content, early access to videos and much more. There's details down below. As for the Golden, what is she selling this week? The first ring she has is a Ring of Bloodthorn. This is when you deal direct damage, you restore 800 magicka and stamina. This can occur every 5 seconds. Historically, this used to be really good, but there are better sets now such as Wretched Vitality, so I would skip this. The only reason to get this if you are wanting to finish your sticker book and a completionist, but I wouldn't spend the money, it's not worth it. The next item is a dungeon set. This is bind on pickup, so you cannot trade this, and this is Overwhelming Surge. When you deal damage with a class ability, you surround yourself with a torrent of lightning that deals shock damage to people within 8 meters every 1 second, and 15% of that damage is restored as magicka. It has a 7-second cooldown, so it's up for pretty much all of the fight. This is really good on Templar. If you're playing in Battlegrounds, for example, Templar can make quite good use of this because it's damage, but it's sustain, and this shock damage will go up, obviously, the more and more you use it. And you can also buff this with other sets such as Dragakin's Grip, for example. So pairing those two would make this go to like 1000 and you then get this 1500 recovery every tick. It hits people in AoE. It's not the best, but it's a usable set. So if you want a bit of fun, this is something to worth consider. It's really good on Templar or just classes that use their main spammable. So Nightblade, for example, Dragon Knight. But Templar's where this really shines. We then have Prisoner's Rags. Reduce the cost of sprint by 50%, and while you sprint you gain 1k magicka. This is effectively 2000 magicka recovery when you're sprinting. It's not good, so just skip this. And then the last one we have is Thunderflame. When you deal damage with a fully charged heavy attack, you deal an additional 7000 damage. This obviously goes up based on your stats, and this is spread over 10 seconds, and you apply Minor Breach. This isn't great either. You might want to use this in PvE on some kind of niche off builds just for fun, but you can get the Minor Breach anyway, so again, this isn't great. You then have a Euphoric Gatekeeper. This is a set that when you use a roll dodge, you create a husk. Within the 5 meters of the husk, it will absorb all direct damage attacks, and then after 1 second explode. This isn't terrible, it's like a free block essentially, so it just absorbs the damage. The issue is the cooldown's really long. It's it is 20 seconds, so it's kind of, you get 19 seconds of like you're waiting for it to kind of do something. It's not great, so it can be used in PvE on some tanks. Like, it's not terrible and it's more fun, but I wouldn't like run to this by any means. It's kind of get this. It's a DLC set, so if you can get it just for the sticker book, but that's about it in my opinion. Unless there's a better kind of suggestion, check the comments. People might know a better use for it, but I can't see it. We then have Stone Husk. Your heavy attacks tether you to enemies for 5 seconds. As long as you remain within 10 meters of them, enemies touching the tether take 700 damage. This obviously goes up or down, and they get a stack of Husk Drain. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds and scales for your highest weapon or spell damage. When a tether ends, you consume all the stats and gain 28 weapon and spell damage for 5 seconds. So we can get 10 stacks, you get 15 stacks, so you can get roughly about 350, 400 weapon and spell damage if you get this max. It's kind of like Zaan's, but instead of giving you loads of like cascading and just escalating damage, you get it on your tooltips. So This can be useful in some PvP builds. So if you are playing more of like a Necro, for example, and you're really in their face because you need to charge up your damage, just because of how the class plays, but last one is a bit buggy, you can you get this to charge, and then you get this big boost of damage, which means you get like this Balrog effect of damage, but you don't have to wait for the Balrog cooldown because ult gen's quite slow. So this can be good. It's not like amazing by any means, but it could be useful. PvE wise, I wouldn't use this. Like it's not there. You're better using just a damage set, in my opinion. Using something like Zarn is way better for like damage dealers. But again, if there's a better use that someone can think of it, I would, say check the comments. Please post it down if you do know. The last thing to note is that again, this is a DLC set. So if you don't have this, then consider getting it. And they're both shoulders, so it means you don't have to spend keys either. So for those reasons, I'd probably say consider it. I'm probably not going to this time because I'm not going to use these sets myself. And all the ones at the top I won't use. And Surge, it's good, but I wouldn't use it on rings. I've got this already on armor, and it's fun, but I don't play with it that way. So the golden this week, in all honesty, is a little bit flat, like a bit. I will obviously cover it every week. Just a quick heads up: next week I am away on holiday, so what I will do is kind of put probably just a text version in the community tab of kind of this is what's good, this is what's not good. So if you want to see that, obviously just subscribe to the channel so you can see that too. The last place I want to check is the Infinite Archive. And in the Infinite Archive, this is where we find the filer all. He sells scripts, he also sells leads, and some of the leads can be from mythic items. So I always check this. It is worth noting that his stock does rotate Tuesday to Tuesday. So rather than doing 2 or 3 videos a week, I'd rather just put it in one, just as easier for you guys. This week he is selling the following. He has 2 leads, both furniture, so yeah, I would skip these basically. This is music box if you want to know. Script wise, he has evasion, magic skill, generate ultimate, and Anchorite's cruelty. These are okay, they're not amazing. The only one that's kind of worth considering, in all honesty, is probably the cruelty, but it's on a very niche build. A friend of mine, he uses this, and he uses loads of Oblivion damage sources, and it kind of works. It's basically dot damage you can't block, but you have to stack all the dot Oblivion sets in the game to kind of make it work, and it's not amazing. You have to pair it with Geralds to make it push somebody over the edge, and then it's toxic. But beyond that, it's very, very, very niche. So, and if they move away, you have no damage. So this can be useful. What I will do, just for people curious, is show it as a superstar. So it goes on the willed soul skill. You can put something like stun. You can put the cruelty, which is here, and you can put something such as defile. You will then have a skill that will stun them. It will put a small Oblivion dot that can't be you can't block or heal through, or shield and stuff. So it just always hits you for true damage. So it doesn't go up or down. It's always a flat damage. And then you got the defile. So if you use something like this, and then you make another one, which will be soul burst, and you can use immobilize. It's quite fun. Pull for put them to you if you want a different stun. And again, the same cruelty. And then you can put anything of choice here: main, courage, breach, magic steel. So main's quite good, reduces the damage. Breach makes them take more damage, but it's Oblivion damage, so it doesn't make much difference. So pick one of choice here. And this has the same DBS as the other ones. You've got 2 Oblivion dots. So you're doing 2.4 of their health every second. So it's quite nice. It's not obscene, but it's still quite nice. The only downside is that the cruelty is a global cooldown. So once you proc it, you have to wait 10 seconds. You can't proc it per target. So that's just really worth noting, that this 10 seconds here, this is per target. So you use your soul gem and you have to wait 10 seconds. If you change target in that 10 seconds and hit somebody else, they cannot get this dot because it's still on somebody else. So just do factor that in. The last place we're going to go to is the Scholarium in Avea. This is part of the Gold Road DLC. So if you have Gold Road and you have access to Scribing, you do need to complete the first wing of the Indrik. Once you've completed the wing, you will have access to Ferandal. And Ferandal will then go and give you a series of scripts that, again, they rotate every week. I believe it's Tuesday to Tuesday as well, but I've never had any issues when I've come here on the weekend. So I do it in one video again. And you go in, he's down on the right. It's worth noting that he will not appear unless you have done that first Indrik wing and you've also done the introduction quest on any other character. Here he will have obviously all the grimoires, and then the scripts this week are Empower, Trauma, and Thief's Swiftness. Empower is pretty like you need heavy attacks, and if you're heavy attacking, you're not using skills often. At this point, you can just get it from other skills anyway, so it can kind of be used, but it's not like it wouldn't be my go-to. There's better PvE skills. You then have Trauma. Trauma's a really cool one, and I would recommend getting this. I don't have this on this character, so I'm going to buy this. You notice it's 8,000, whereas this Swiftness is 60. The cost difference is because of one of my characters knows like that, whereas nobody knows this on my account. So as soon as I buy this, this will reduce it drastically. So if I buy it and I use it, you'll see it's now 12,000, so it basically cuts it by a fifth. So you go down to like a fifth rather than, you know, the full price. So it's really good. With Trauma, how does Trauma work? Trauma works on a few skills. It works on Elemental Explosion, which is here, and you put on Trauma. You'll notice that Trauma is essentially 50% or about 45-50% of a damage skill. So if it shocks 15,000, this is 6.2 and it goes up to about 9k. Trauma is true damage effectively though. So when this hits them, it means that the next 6,200 health in this skill that they receive from healing is just nullified. They get 0. So if you just on like Trauma and we pair it with Immobilize and Strike, Hunter's Snare, there's a few of them. The Immobilize Strike is quite nice. And then put something like Defile, or you can also put on the Brittle for more damage. You'll get a skill like this. And this is really, really good for group play. When you use this, it means it stops people's heals ticking. So you've got a better chance of bursting if you coordinate this well. So the only downside is that this is a target locked area. So when you cast a skill, it will kind of sit on that location you pick and you can't move it until it's cast. So the other alternative, and it's a little bit weaker, is the Trample. With Trample, you can go again with Trauma. You notice it's reduced again from that big hit. And then you can put on similar things like Snare, Swiftness, etc, etc. Just with the Swiftness, this is one of the better uses for it because it turns it into like Path of Darkness from the Nightblade. So you could use obviously Swiftness with any focus script, so like Dispel to remove things out the way, or like Knock Back to get people out of the way, and then you've got the movement speed. So you can kind of use that. But for this Trauma, I'll go with Trauma, and I'll do something like Immobilizing again. Assassin's Mystery is also worth using. It's got some nice status effects that do some damage, so that's quite good. And Warrior's Opportunities is also very good because it increases the damage people have, and this does apply to Trauma. And Cavalry's Charge does a similar thing as well. So as you use this, it increases its potency every 0.5 seconds. So if you hit them at the end of it, you end up getting a lot more out of this heal absorption. So I'll probably go with the Charge or the Immobilize. And then you can then use anything of choice. So Cowardice, Defile, Mangle. Mangle's a great one. What you end up getting is a skill that when you hit somebody, it will stop them having some healing for a couple seconds. It will also scale up. So if you kind of time it right, you can get slightly more healing debuff. And you reduce the max health by 10%. And what's really good about this is that as you cast it, it's a channel. So you can cast and move around whilst this is like animating. And then when you get around the corner, you can release the horse going forward or your mount. You can hit people, do the effects that you want, which is awesome. And then you can push in and go. So you can do something like Dawnbreaker this. You can then charge Deep Fissure. So as a warden, you could do Proxy Det. You could do... so I'd go Proxy Det, Deep Fissure. I'd then go with the contingency from the Scribing system as well, with like frost damage. And then channel the skill, and when it fires, you'll then proc all of those things at once with a Dawnbreaker. You get like 4 instant hits, plus they can't heal, which can then allow you to then cast additional like AoE skills to kill them. So it's like a pseudo bomber. It's a really good skill. But that's it really this week. That's what the Golden has, the Infinite Archive, and also the Scholarium vendors sell. If you get any questions about the stuff or how you can use them, let me know in the comments below. As I did say, I won't be making a video next week because I'm on holiday, but what I will do is obviously just put something in the comments at some point in the day when I get a chance, just to kind of go, this is what they are, this is how you might want to use them. So do obviously subscribe for that. And I just want to say a massive thank you again to all the likes in the comments and just people who are subscribed. It really helps the channel. And a bigger thank you to all the members on YouTube and on Patreon who help make the videos possible. If you want to support myself there and get early access, there's details down below. But until then, I'll catch you next video in the next stream. So thanks for watching. Take care. And bye.